Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This morning I posted my first impressions of the Rare Beauty Tinted Moisturizer, which I absolutely love. You can check out that first impressions if you want to see it in action, but I am wearing it today on my face and I'm obsessed with it. I really love it. But on that video I had a few people ask me whether they should get the Rare Beauty Tinted Moisturizer over like another tinted moisturizer that I've talked about and have really loved on my channel. I feel like people are always torn on like 2 or 3 of the same products, but they're never too sure on what to get. So what I am doing today is I took out all of my tinted moisturizers that are in my collection right now, and I'm going to sit here and compare and swatch each and every one of them. I have 14 different tinted moisturizers. A couple of them I have multiple shades in, so you will be able to see those shades swatched next to each other. Also, I have put the tinted moisturizers in groups of a glowy finish or like a dewy finish, more of like a natural satin, like not quite dewy but not matte either, so that sort of finish, and then a matte finish. And I will also make sure that I say whether the tinted moisturizer has SPF in it. So I am going to start with my favorite category, which is the more natural looking finish tinted moisturizers. I really like natural finish tinted moisturizers because it's obviously a good middle ground. I am more of an oily combo skin type, and I do really enjoy glowy makeup looks, but sometimes a glowy tinted moisturizer is just a little bit too much for me, and sometimes a matte look isn't quite what I'm going for. So the natural looking finish tinted moisturizers are really my favorite. I do want to say before I get started that I do have like way more experience with some tinted moisturizers than others, so I will definitely make that clear, but I at least have a general idea of the coverage and how the tinted moisturizer performs. So yeah, we will get into all of that. I am going to start with 2 tinted moisturizers that I don't really wear as often, but they're still pretty decent. So this one is the Tarte Maracuja Tinted Hydrator. I have this tinted moisturizer in the shade Light Medium Neutral. I think that the shade is really great for me. Like, yeah, that looks pretty much perfect. I think I would give this like a medium coverage tinted moisturizer. There are light coverage tinted moisturizers, medium coverage tinted moisturizers, and a little bit more of like a full coverage tinted moisturizer. I would say that this definitely falls within like a more medium, maybe medium to full coverage. So if that's what you're looking for, I think that this one would definitely be worth checking out. I don't use this as much as my other ones, and I'm not really sure why, but anytime I have used it, I've really liked the look of it, and I do think that this is overall a really good quality tinted moisturizer. The other one that I don't really use too often at all is the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator. I have this tinted moisturizer in the shade Tan Medium Deep. This one is definitely a more lighter coverage tinted moisturizer. The shade range on this one is really not that good. So if you can find your shade in it, I feel like if you picked it up, you would enjoy it as a tinted moisturizer, like as an everyday tinted moisturizer. I do think compared to the other natural finish tinted moisturizers, this one is a bit more dewy, but not really as dewy as the ones that I put in the glowy category. So it's kind of a little bit more in the middle. This one is fine. I do have other tinted moisturizers from the drugstore that I like quite a bit better than the Wet n Wild one, but it's an okay option. Probably my favorite tinted moisturizer from the drugstore, or like a tinted moisturizer at a more affordable price, is the LA Girl Tinted Foundation. I have mine in the shade Tawny, and it definitely does match me a bit more in the summertime, but that is Tawny swatched. This is a perfect medium coverage tinted moisturizer. I love how it applies onto the skin and how it looks and feels, and it also is very long wearing, so I do feel like it does a good job at staying put all day, giving me just enough coverage and a skin-like base for the rest of my makeup. And I do like wearing this pretty much every day over the summer. However, it has no SPF, and I've discovered a few other tinted moisturizers that I really enjoy that have SPF in it. So that is something to keep in mind, but it is really affordable and it has a really good coverage and wear time. The Tower 28 tinted sunscreen is gorgeous. I would say it has more of a medium full coverage, but it's still very lightweight on the skin. Like, it feels like something that would be more of a light coverage tinted moisturizer, but it definitely, in my opinion, is a little bit more medium full in terms of tinted moisturizers. It has an SPF of 30, which is awesome, and it's also accepted by the National Eczema Association, so it really should not be irritating to the skin, especially if you have eczema. I have mine in the shade 25 Ocean Park. I will say, if you can, definitely go ahead and try and swatch in stores. The shades online, like the photos that they use, are wildly different from what they look like in person. I originally was going to get a totally different shade based on the pictures online, but I went in stores and decided that 25 Ocean Park was the best shade for me, and it really is a very good shade match. I think everything is going to look a little bit deeper on my chest area just because it's very bright, and this area of my body hasn't really seen much sun in a while. But when something is blended out on my face, especially like the Tarte one and the Tower 28 one, when it's all blended out on my skin and I have the rest of my makeup on, it doesn't look like drastic at all. But I was pleasantly surprised by this tinted sunscreen. I found that it really stayed very natural looking on the skin all day. It didn't really get overly oily at all, which is very common for tinted moisturizers in general, but especially a tinted moisturizer that has a bit of sunscreen in it. I really enjoy this tinted moisturizer. I think that if you have oily or combo skin, you would really like it. I have heard that on dry skin, it can look a little bit patchy or kind of accentuate the dry areas, but I don't have a problem with it, but I also don't have like dry patches on my skin. Next up is the new Rare Beauty Tinted Moisturizer. I just adore this product. It has an SPF of 20. I would also say that this is a true medium coverage tinted moisturizer. It's also very, very lightweight. I have mine in the shade 32N. The Rare Beauty Tinted Moisturizer feels extremely lightweight on the skin. It kind of just looks like a second layer of skin. It's so thin. I love that it has an SPF. I love the coverage of it. I love the finish of it, and I love how lightweight it is. And I found it to be pretty long wearing as well. Next up, I have the Milk Makeup Sunshine Skin Tint. This also has an SPF of 30, so also pretty high with the SPF in a tinted moisturizer. The packaging of this is probably the least favorite of my tinted moisturizers, but I still really like the product itself. It definitely feels a little bit thicker, but there's something about it that I do like, and the shade that I have right here is Golden Honey. The Milk Makeup Sunshine Skin Tint, I think, is another one of the tinted moisturizers that could be put in the glowy category, but I still feel like it's not quite as glowy as the tinted moisturizers that I have set aside for the glowy category. So that's why I'm putting it more in the natural finish one. I do think if you have oily skin, you probably would be quite a bit oily at the end of the day, but the coverage of this is probably a true medium tinted moisturizer coverage. I think that it looks beautiful on the skin. It's another one of those that just kind of looks like a second layer of skin. It might have a little bit more of a makeup-y look just because it is a little bit thicker than some of the other tinted moisturizers, but I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I also think that this one feels very nourishing and like moisturizing all over the skin, so that's a nice aspect to it as well. But yeah, the packaging of it sucks. It's also, I think, probably the most expensive tinted moisturizer that I own, so that is something to keep in mind. Sometimes, you know, we don't love things that are like too expensive, you know what I mean? And then the last tinted moisturizer in sort of like the more natural finish tinted moisturizer category, I have the Pure 4-in-1 Tinted Moisturizer. This has an SPF of 20, and I have mine in the shade MG5. This tinted moisturizer is definitely more on the lighter coverage side of tinted moisturizers. I do like that it has an SPF of 20 though, so if you are looking for something that has very little coverage, which a lot of people do want that, very little coverage, but still offers a little bit of sun protection, the Pure 4-in-1 Tinted Moisturizer is a really good option. I like this one. I think that it does give a more of a natural looking finish. It's not overly dewy, but it's also not anywhere close to matte. So it's very nice and natural looking on the skin, but again, it doesn't really deliver as much coverage as some of the other tinted moisturizers. This is another one that I don't wear as often, but I'm never upset with how it looks whenever I do wear it. I actually really enjoy all of the tinted moisturizers that I have, and that's why they've stuck around past declutters. I've tried so many tinted moisturizers, and even some of them that I have decluttered I do like, but yeah, they just didn't make it. So this is what we have. Moving on to the glowy category, I have 4 tinted moisturizers in this category. The first is the Undone Beauty Unfoundation Glow Tint. Definitely a more glowy skin tint tinted moisturizer type product. The Undone Beauty tinted moisturizers, the Unfoundation Matte Tint, and the Glow Tint, which I'm talking about right now, they are definitely the lightest coverage tinted moisturizers that I have and I've probably tried. So if that is something that you are looking for, you're looking for a very light coverage, very, very light coverage tinted moisturizer, really would recommend the Glow Tint from Undone Beauty. I have 2 shades of the Unfoundation Glow Tint. So this one is Latte Medium, and then the one that I'm applying right now is Almond Latte Medium. There are times throughout the year where I might mix these two. There are times throughout the year where I can use one over the other. That's why I own both of them. I do really wish that the Undone Beauty Unfoundation tints had an SPF in it, just so that it would feel a little bit more worthwhile to be using it. However, there are obviously days where you just kind of want your skin to look a little bit better than it does without anything, but you don't want to have actual like coverage on your skin. This does deliver a little bit of coverage in a sense where your skin will look pretty evened out after you use it, but it's definitely not going to cover up any scarring or pimples or anything. It really just offers like a little bit of coverage, like the tiniest tint. It's also very comfortable and very thin, so I do really like it, and the Glow Tint definitely is more glowy. So if you are more dry, you probably would like the Glow Tint, and I will be talking about the Matte Tint in the next category. This is the Milani Glow Hydrating Skin Tint. This and another product that I'm going to talk about next, these might be a little bit too glowy for me. Again, I do have the oily combo skin, and I do really love that about my skin. I like being oily. But yeah, these offer just like a little bit too much glow, I think. I have the Milani Tinted Moisturizer in 2 different shades. So this one is light medium, and then this one is medium. It's like very glowy. This skin tint does have a pretty good coverage to it, so if you are dry looking for a good medium, probably buildable to more full tinted moisturizer coverage, then you know this would be a really good option for you. Just think for me personally, it's a little bit too glowy. It also does smell quite a bit like coconut, which is sometimes a little bit of an irritant on my skin, but I don't know. I don't remember this one breaking me out at all. If I am gonna break out from a coconut ingredient, it's pretty quick. It happens pretty quickly. The ColourPop Tinted Moisturizer, I wanted to really like, but it broke me out so bad. So I don't use that one anymore. It's not in my collection anymore. But yeah, this one is just a little bit too glowy for me. I really don't use it too often because of that. I pretty much just look like immediately oily after I apply it, but it's still a very beautiful tinted moisturizer with a good, decent coverage. So what might not be for me might be for you. Another tinted moisturizer that is just a little bit too dewy for me, but it's still very pretty on the skin, is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. I have mine in the shade 50 Medium. It's a pretty good shade for me right now. I definitely can't wear it in the summertime. This tinted moisturizer from Urban Decay is definitely a true medium, maybe a little bit lighter, like a light medium, but more so medium tinted moisturizer coverage. And it is very pretty on the skin, but since I do have more oily skin, it's a little bit too dewy and glowy for me. But I definitely think if you are more dry or you want quite a bit of glow, you would like the Hydromaniac from Urban Decay. I have a recent brand review of Saie Beauty, and this is the Saie Slip Tint. This tinted moisturizer has the highest SPF with an SPF of 35. I have mine in the shade 4. This tinted moisturizer is definitely more of a glowy tinted moisturizer. However, it doesn't get like progressively glowy as the day goes on, and that's why it's definitely my favorite out of the glowy tinted moisturizer choices that I have. This Saie tinted moisturizer looks very beautiful on the skin. It's very skin-like. It's really lightweight feeling, but it's a little bit thicker, which I do enjoy. Like, I like the actual application of products like that because it definitely feels like you're putting on more makeup than it's looking and feeling, and that's just, I don't know, I just kind of enjoy that. The shade of it I really enjoy as well, and I love the fact that it is a very glowy, dewy, beautiful looking skin tint, but there's something about it that kind of has a little bit of a blurring effect to it, and along with that, it's also very long wearing, so it doesn't really get progressively oily looking throughout the day. And that's a huge thing for me. I do have oily skin, so naturally I am going to get oily throughout the day no matter what I do to my skin. But this glowy tinted moisturizer kind of just remains, you know, the glowy that it was in the beginning of the day. It kind of maintains itself throughout the day and doesn't really get more oily looking. I've run out of space on my chest. I probably could have definitely fit the last 4 on here if I arranged this differently, but I am going to swatch the last 4 on my neck. So moving on now to the matte tinted moisturizers, and I really like all 3 of them that I have in front of me. Unfortunately, none of the matte tinted moisturizers have an SPF to them. I'm not sure if matte complexion products can do SPF well. If you have a matte tinted moisturizer with an SPF in it to recommend, I would love to check it out. The first one that I have is the Fenty Beauty Eaze Drop Blurring Skin Tint. I wear mine in the shade 11. This tinted moisturizer is definitely more of a medium full coverage tinted moisturizer for me. I would say this is a great option for someone who is used to wearing more glam and full coverage makeup, but wants to kind of dip their toes into the skin tint tinted moisturizer world, but they're not quite ready to dive in. This is a great middle ground because it is probably my most full coverage tinted moisturizer and also has more of a matte finish, so it's going to look a little bit more makeup-y on the skin, but it's still really lightweight, so it does look more skin-like, and it's got a really beautiful coverage to it, so you're not really lacking on coverage. You're going to get a little bit more of like your scars covered up and any pimples and discoloration covered up with this one, but your skin is still going to peek through a little bit. You're going to look a little bit more natural than like your full coverage foundation, and I think that if you have oily skin, you would love this. I think with any of the matte tinted moisturizers, if you had dry skin, you probably wouldn't enjoy them. But yeah, the skin tint from Fenty Beauty, like I said, I think if you are used to wearing more full coverage makeup, you would really enjoy this as a skin tint because it's a little bit more makeup-y. It's definitely got more coverage than a regular tinted moisturizer, but it's still very beautiful and more natural looking on the skin than like a full coverage matte foundation. A little bit of a dupe for the Fenty Beauty product if you don't want to spend as much money. The Sephora Matte Perfection Tinted Moisturizer is gorgeous on the skin. It's a little bit more of a true medium coverage with a matte finish, so it is going to look a little bit more like perfect looking on the skin because it has that matte finish. There's a lot less like texture being accentuated with this product. It really is like a matte perfection, and I really love the coverage of it. I think it is a pretty true medium, but you can build it up, so if you have a couple of spots on your face where you want to add a second layer, it's very easy to build up and add a bit more coverage to it. I have mine in the shade 07 Linen. I'm kind of thinking about getting the shade 08 for the summertime, but like that looks perfect. That's probably like the most perfect shade. Sometimes when things are like swatched like this and then they dry, they obviously will like oxidize a little bit, and I'm always kind of like, I can't believe some of these match me. I can't believe it. Hopefully you guys are finding this video helpful anyway, even with these like wild swatches. I really enjoy pretty much everything about the Matte Perfection Tinted Moisturizer from Sephora, and I wear it really, really often. Everything about it I really enjoy. I like the coverage of it. I like the finish of it when I want a little bit more of a matte finish. It's also one of my longer wearing tinted moisturizers, which you typically find with matte products in general. They're going to be a little bit more long wearing. But yeah, I think that this is an awesome option. I really would recommend it. It really just comes down for like all of these, what your preference is. So I hope that this video has been helpful so far. And then the last tinted moisturizers that I have are the Undone Beauty Unfoundation Matte Tints. Again, this is a very, very light coverage tinted moisturizer. Pretty much went to more full coverage, to medium coverage, to light coverage with the matte tinted moisturizers that I have. So this is sand medium, and like the glow tints, there are times of the year where I can wear the sand medium by itself. Like right now, I could definitely do that. And then this is praline medium. And there are times of the year where I can wear this one by itself. And then there are times of the year where I would definitely mix these two together. And if you are an oily skin person that wants a very, very light coverage tinted moisturizer that isn't going to add dew to your skin, the Undone Beauty Unfoundation Matte Tint. Definitely would recommend it. It's got like a little bit of a moussey texture, which I think is really nice, especially if you do have more oily skin and you want to kind of keep that oil at bay, but it is going to get a little bit more natural looking throughout the day, but it won't be completely dewy or greasy looking. Do not expect a lot of coverage from the Unfoundation Matte Tint though. It really isn't going to deliver a ton of coverage. It's very similar to the glow tint. It's just going to kind of even everything out very slightly, add a little bit of perfection to the skin, but your natural skin is still gonna shine through. I do think though that the Unfoundation Matte Tint is a very, very unique formula because you do not really see light coverage matte products. Like I said, it really just depends on what your preference is. Hopefully I have given enough information in this video for you all to figure out what tinted moisturizer would suit you best, what you are looking for in a tinted moisturizer. Obviously, let me know if you have any other additional questions down below, but I do like and enjoy and use each and every one of these tinted moisturizers in my collection. Obviously, I like some of them more than others, but you know, we addressed all that and got all that out in the air. If you would like to see this video with other products in my collection, definitely let me know what you would be interested in down below and I will try to do that. I had been wanting to do something similar to this for a while, but I feel like new video concepts are a little bit intimidating for me. Yeah, this went well, I think. That is going to be it from me today though. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and this helped kind of resolve any questions you had on what tinted moisturizer to get. Again, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you aren't already subscribed, definitely go ahead and do so, and hopefully I will see you next time.